Hey there guys, HelloPlasma324 here, but you knew that already. Welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. In the last few parts, I decided to go on the bad ending. Now, from the annotations I put in, you may have chosen to skip that, where you ended up pretty much at this point. So if you chose not to look at the bad ending, you end up here, where we are going to refuse. It seems like it's a dick move, but it's not. Before I can answer her, she pushes her whole weight against me, and it unbalances me enough to send us both under the bed. If I don't answer quickly, then the situation will only become more precarious. I know that I should never let things get as tangled as they already were, or are. So even though this isn't the most tactful way to refuse her, I push her off of me. Misha falls backwards onto the sheets, so softly that it seems like she barely fell at all. Eyes closed, she stays like that for a while before getting up with a hollow laugh. You're right, Hee-chan. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how I feel. Regretful slightly, even though I've grown to hate regret. Sad for a multitude of reasons. I'm also a little angry, both at her and myself. And in a way, it even seems like I'm not really feeling at all. Don't be. No, Hee-chan, it's okay. I am, really. But just asking was enough for me, I think. I'm happy that you said no. Is that right? Well, that's good. Yeah, it is. Thanks, Hee-chan. Pulls herself up and leans against the wall. I'm assuming she is. My head hurts so much that I don't bother opening my eyes. I lie on my bed, listening to the rustle of my hair brushing against the sheets and the grass waving in the wind outside. I guess I should say something more to reassure her, but I wonder if that would really help. Maybe it would either be better to say nothing. I just don't know, although I think that in this situation, there's no right thing I can do. Good night, Hee-chan. With that, she leaves, the door clicking shut behind her like a guilty whisper. Maybe it's just because I'm eager to put the day behind me, but after Misha's gone, I find it much easier to fall asleep. I do so almost instantly. Now, for those who did watch the bad ending, the scenes are similar, and the text will vary slightly. So, you're pretty much watching that ending again. Just, there's more to it. The following morning, I wake up thinking that most of my time is going to be spent trying to avoid Shizune and Misha. What happened last evening still makes me feel uneasy. I thought that sleeping on it would help alleviate that feeling. I feel like an idiot for believing it would be that easy. I think about whether or not Misha might feel the same way. If so, she probably won't show up to school today. I'd consider doing the same, but it would be pretty suspicious, and staying inside all day in fear doesn't appeal to me. It never really has. See? Completely the same. Like I thought, Misha isn't in class this morning. Shizune is, but today is a busier day than most, so she gives all her concentrating on her classwork, and that means there's little idle time for her to start up a conversation with me. I'd grown so used to seeing Shizune and Misha together that I hadn't realized until yesterday how much that hasn't been the case lately. And it's a shame, because the empty seat next to me reminds her that they are a pair, so yesterday is something I'll take to my grave. If I feel this way about it, I wonder how Shizune must feel, just as regretful. When she came on to me, she was more depressed than sexy to start with. I can only imagine how much worse it would be now. Thinking about it like that, I want to see her again, but only half-heartedly. The other half of me is still terrified, even though I hate to use that word. Makes me feel ashamed, but I'm sure it's the only way to describe myself right now. I spend the next couple of periods in the library, not in the mood to sit in classes for the rest of the day, but unwilling to walk back to the dorms. While I'm lazily flipping through the pages of an uninteresting historical fiction novel, Shizune drops herself into the chair across from me, pouting. I think it's sort of pointless to come to school and then skip every class. Sorry. At least tell everyone you're sick. I'm just not feeling it today. Yesterday I was fine, though. Tomorrow I'll be fine. Taking a sick day in the middle of the week is just too suspicious. That 24-hour flu thing won't cut it. It's not suspicious. It is. I turn back my book, but Shizune gently pulls it down in contrast with her expression, which straddles the line between concern and anger. Something wrong? What? Something bothering you? Because you're acting a little suspicious today, in a different way. If there is, just tell me, or I'll be mad. I'm not good at reading people. What a ridiculous thing to say after picking up my mood so easily. She's only half kidding, but there is some truth in it. After all, she can't hear tone. she has to rely on reading to communicate with others. It's as if you can only have conversation with someone through text messages. That has to mess with you in some way. It's probably why she stares so intently at people, in order to gauge their reaction, or maybe it's why she pushes people so hard, to get them to react. I've thought about it before, but it's too hard to say for sure what Shizune's exact motivations are for anything. So I wonder how much of that was a joke. Sometimes it's easy to tell. This time, it isn't. Assuming it wasn't a joke, I can't tell her anyway. Because it's sign language, there's enough time to collect myself and lie effectively. Nothing. I've just been thinking a lot about the student council's future lately. I believe Misha's doing the same. Well, in her own way. So am I, but she isn't here today. Wish she would let me know something, because I might need her help today, later. Yours too, unless you're busy. I'm not. Thank you. I feel like I'm losing a lot of people close to me lately. I can't think of a good way to respond to that. Something reassuring and confident, telling them not to worry. I'm here for you, I'm not one of those people. Then who is? It seems so forced. I manage to wave my hand that seems extremely callous as soon as I do it. You shouldn't feel that way. I might be just a little sick, not enough to go through the trouble of making it official. It's just easier for me this way. It's the wrong way. I've heard the hard way and the right way are usually the same thing, so it's not a big stretch to say that the opposite is true. Well, fine, if you say you're alright, that's good enough for me. Wait. You asked me, so I'm turning around. Is everything okay with you? Yes. She signs it without a moment's hesitation. After that, Shizune waits to see if I'm going to follow up on it. I don't, and she leaves. I feel like an idiot for not going further, even though How am I skipping all this text? I've been in the library for quite a while and decided to go up to the roof for a change of pace. A fresh breeze hits me the second I open the door. This is really my favorite area of the school, I think. Then I see that I'm not the only one here. I can see a girl with bubblegum pink hair in front of me. Her back is to me, and I don't have to see her face to see who it is. I'm sure Misha is the only person in the world with hair like that. I get the feeling that I've stumbled on her at a bad moment. She obviously wants to be alone, and I wonder if she hasn't noticed my presence. If so, I'll leave right now. But she has, and she turns to face me. Oh, Hee-chan. I thought someone was behind me, but I didn't think it was going to be you. This time, you surprised me. If she's referring to her habit of sneaking up behind me and asking me to guess who it is, I've never been surprised by that. I'm surprised too, but this is good. I had something I wanted to talk to you about anyway. Not that. What's going on between you and Shizune? She won't tell me, so I'm asking you. Because you're easier to get an answer out of, since the same sign language that gives me the leeway to lie to her gives it a cushion against my questions so that she can more easily brush them off. When she hesitates, I push her harder. Give me an honest answer, please. It's complicated, Hee-chan. It's because it's something that happened a long time ago. I thought I could just forget about it, but it's really hard. So, that and graduation coming up made me want to spend more time with Shi-chan. But Shi-chan's always busy now, so we've been fighting, but I'm tired of it now. Because I like Shi-chan. So do I. Waha! No, I know you like her, Shi-chan. I mean that I like Shi-chan in the same way. I want her to be my girlfriend. Yep. Bet you didn't see that one coming, did you? Now, those of you who've watched the bad ending already, yeah, you saw this coming. Those of you who don't know, yeah, she's secretly a lesbian. And I'm pretty sure she's about to tell the backstory to all this. More story! Misha closes her eyes, like a condemned criminal confessing the last of their sins in front of the executioner. It only makes it harder for me to think of a response, and I know I have to give one. I see. I never knew. I didn't really want to come to the school, Hee-chan, but it sounded interesting, and even if everyone hated me, at least it felt like they would leave me alone. I was learning sign language, but wasn't very good at it. Shi-chan was trying to get people to join the student council because it was only her and Lily. Then she came up to me. I couldn't understand her at all. But Shi-chan wouldn't use her pen and paper. She knew that I was taking sign language classes. I was exposed quickly. I didn't know any. That only made her try harder, and I hated Shi-chan and thought she was making fun of me. That wasn't the reason, though. So, I slowly fell in love with Shi-chan, and I told her that I loved her. And, of course, this was 2 years before Hisao comes here, so apparently Shizune doesn't wear glasses, and Misha wears her hair down like that. It was in the student council room, when it was just the two of us. I had these fantasies of Shi-chan staying alone in the office, trying to put everything together all by herself. It seemed so lonely to me and so sad. I think I wanted it to be that way. That way, I could be there for Shi-chan, and maybe Shi-chan would like me. Even though there was no reason for me to believe it, I did anyway. I wanted it to be true, so I was okay with letting myself believe it, even though I think I knew. That day was really, really beautiful too, Hee-chan. We were done with everything, and I was looking out through the window. Even through the window, the light was so warm. I wanted to stay like that forever, next to Shi-chan. But then I looked at Shi-chan. She had her back to the window and was still working on something, blocking out the rest of the world. The light was on her shoulders, like when I would put a blanket on my shoulders when I was a little kid. Misha stopped for a second, as if trying to hold onto the image of Shizune in her mind. Shi-chan looked... it was like Shi-chan looked in a way that made me want to be with her, but it felt like it would be hard for that to happen. Wahaha! That was a really long time ago. My hair was different back then, too. A little messy. I cut it because Shi-chan was always talking about it. Anyway, I told her right then and there. I confessed. I was rejected. So, I thought that was it, Shi-chan. But Shi-chan was always trying to find me, and I hated Shi-chan again for it. When I asked why she was doing it, it was because I was her friend. Her cheeks have a hint of red in them. I wonder how much experience she's had with crying, that she can keep herself from doing it so well. If she didn't pause to wipe her eyes, I might have never noticed. Having Shi-chan say that made me happy, but also sad, and even though she never meant to hurt me, it still hurts, even now. Shi-chan has a way of manipulating people, Hee-chan. Sometimes she wants to, and sometimes she doesn't exactly, but it happens anyway. And sometimes I'm just not sure which one it is. And I feel doubt. I just wish that Shi-chan liked me instead of you. It made me wonder if I was starting to hate you and Shi-chan, just a little. I didn't like that. So you were thinking maybe it would be better if I weren't here at all? She looks confused. The thought has never crossed her mind. That's not it, Hee-chan. I thought about it a lot these past few days, and I don't want to hate anyone, you or Shi-chan. It's so stupid that I ever felt like that, isn't it, Hee-chan? I don't want to think about that kind of stuff ever again. And missing people, being apart from them, I'm tired of it. I don't want to think about it anymore. I already did, though, so it's still really the worst kind of person. I was thinking it would be better if Hee-chan had never come to the school. I was thinking, wouldn't it be better if I just died? Yeah. You can tell Misha's incredibly depressed right now. Oh, really? Never would have guessed that. Misha presses herself harder against the fence at her back, as if hoping to slip right through it. Without really thinking about it, I grab her hand. My reflexes are terrible, and I only manage to grab all into a few of her fingers, but it's unimportant. Sorry, it's just that you said something pretty weird just now. Haha, yeah, I guess that's right, Hee-chan. Yeah. You want to know what I think? Shizune is the type of person who won't let anyone close to her except on her terms. It's frustrating sometimes, it's even infuriating. That probably would have bothered me when I was in the hospital and anyone who shut me out was dead to me. I'd forgotten about it all until recently. I got a letter, and that was all. And it was all about that. I was mad. I thought, how can you accuse me of closing myself off from everyone and giving up? Isn't that what everyone else did to me? What am I supposed to do? What can I do? Yeah, even now, I know that's how it happened, but she was right, too. I did close myself off. So I made up my mind that I'm not going to let that be the case ever again. The hospital? Hee-chan, is that what those pills are for? Just listen, please. Shizune is the opposite of how I was. She's always wanted to draw people closer to her. That's the only reason Shizune was interested in me in the first place, I think. And I think I was determined not to let that happen in a way. Misha casts her eyes downward, understanding perfectly. I never realized how hard that can be. And now, I feel like I'm going to return the favor, even if it takes twice as long. I already learned a second language just to get this far. And it wasn't as hard as I thought, but it was definitely hard. Sometimes, I feel like I was clawing my way up a mountain with how my hands hurt. You did the same thing, and it was for the same reason, wasn't it? It's really amazing, which is why it makes me sad and a little angry that you would say such a stupid thing like that. That's just what I believe, anyway. Her shoulders slump, and Misha almost slides to the floor, like she's drained of all energy. "You're too dramatic, Ki-chan," she says while looking away, turning her head almost as if she wants to look out at the school grounds, but not turning enough to do so. Wah-ha-ha-ha. The door behind us opens, the sound only barely able to be heard over the ambient breeze. "I've been looking everywhere for you two. Is this some secret meeting?" She walks over to us, leaning against the fence next to Misha as if she needs to stop and catch her breath, before pushing herself off of it and continuing. "I'm bored of sitting in the student council room every day now without either of you ever coming by. Taking some time off is fine, but this is just too much." Normally, Misha and I would be jokingly making excuses for ourselves at this point. This time there's only silence. Shizune, always expecting resistance, is thrown off balance by the lack of it. A few seconds pass in uneasy silence, which Shizune breaks with an ear-shattering snap of her fingers, smiling as if to say, "Eureka. Let's go do something together." "Like what?" "Anything. We can go to the student council room first, and then figure out from there. Seems like a trick to get us to do work instead." Very funny. Misha laughs, managing to let out a restrained wah-ha-ha. That Shizune can't see it makes me feel better. Means that it wasn't only for her benefit. "I was thinking that you could both actually help me with something. What else is there? We can't go out to eat. We already ordered in yesterday, and that was already breaking policy. 3 days in a row would be unforgivable." "But that was ordering in, Chi-chan. Going out to eat is different." "Yeah, totally different. You're both kidding yourselves." Before I can reply, Shizune grabs my hand, limiting my ability to do so. My options cut down so drastically I have no choice but to settle for making a face at her instead. She makes one back before extending her hand to Misha as well. When Misha is reluctant to take it, I walk forward as far as holding on Shizune at the same time will allow me, and take her hand myself. "Ha ha ha." She only has a second to smile before Shizune starts pulling us impatiently toward the door, binding us together like a human chain. Although it's dangerous, none of us seem to think letting go of any step of the way through the school. Although it's dangerous, none of us seem to think of letting go any step of the way through the school, out of the doors, and across the grounds. This feels familiar, as if we walked like this before, the three of us, hand in hand. Of course, the mood was a lot happier then. I can see the lingering sadness on their faces, and it makes me wonder if anything has really changed. If this is all just a distraction or not, but I think it's just me slipping back into being cynical because of the moment. It's a start. And there's your end of Act 3. We're going to the good half of Act 4. Act 4, To My Other Self. Only a day later, the weekend has already arrived. I drop a heavy stack of books on the librarian's desk, not meaning to slam them, but they weigh so much that it happens anyway. Yuko bolts out of her chair with enough force to dislodge her glasses. She barely holds on to them. "Oh, hi." "Sorry, I'm here to return all these books I was supposed to." "That's great, but I wish you'd brought them back sooner. Wouldn't be a problem if the library had more copies of everything, but it doesn't, and they act like that's my fault." "They?" "Other students, they can be, pretty pushy." "Sorry, it just kinda slipped my mind. It's been a pretty rough couple of days." "Oh, I suppose you don't want to talk about it." Yuko meekly turns to the task of logging all the books I've brought back as return, treating them with extreme care and precision, like she's a bomb disposal technician rather than a librarian. Over the past couple of days, I've been thinking about something Misha said. Of course, I've thought about everything she said, but one thing in particular keeps coming back. She talked about how she didn't want to miss people. She didn't want to miss people or think about being apart from them anymore. When I recalled those words, they stopped me cold, like a sharp slap across the cheek. In just a few months, we'll be graduating. Misha and Shizune were nearly inseparable, but after graduation, they might never see each other again. What if that thought is what started all of this? That brings up actually a good point. From what I've seen of the bad ending, I believe that comforting Misha completely destroys the friendship. Like, just completely throws a grenade in the mix and blows it to shit. I believe that's what it does. Whereas the good ending is pretty much the polar opposite. Not to give anything away or anything. If Misha were to try and talk to Shizune about it, Shizune likely wouldn't think about it at all. It would sadden her, and for that reason she would try and toss it away. For someone like Shizune, who is quick to suppress her worries, it would be easy. Misha turned out to be more sensitive than she seemed. It would have crushed her, even more so because Shizune's reaction could come off as pretty cold. I don't know if that's how Shizune handled it, but it seems likely, and I can understand why she would act that way. I can also understand why Misha would be troubled by the thought of drifting away from someone who was such an important part of her. I never thought about graduation until that moment. Then I began to think things like, had it only really been less than a year? I started thinking of everyone I'd met, not only Shizune and Misha, but everyone else. They were fond thoughts. Then I thought of losing them. Suddenly, I could understand Misha's anxieties. It could be nice to talk to someone about it. Actually, I kind of want to. With whom? I can sense an obvious tinge of apprehension in her voice. With you. Really? Are you sure? Why me? Because you're an adult. That's it? That's... Wincing, she fidgets a little in her seat, trying to get comfortable in a pretty uncomfortable-looking way. I guess this means she's okay with it. Is it hard being an adult? Yes. I don't think I'm that old, though. It's surprising students now, like Shizune and you, wear stuff like perfumes or cologne. I never did. I still don't use them. By the way, you're not wearing your grape cologne today. Yeah, it wasn't working out for me. Oh, that's good. I thought the same thing. Sorry. Yuko looks genuinely sorry, and I feel a pang of guilt. I smile despite myself. A tiny lie like that can come back to bite me in the butt. For Misha, trying to conceal how she must have felt to put on a happy face for Shizune so long must have been crushing. Someone I know brought up that we're going to be graduating, and I realized that I've never thought about it before. I feel stupid that I could go for so long and never think about these things. I've met a lot of great people, and I've never thought about what it's going to be like to graduate and maybe never see them again. There's still ways you can keep in touch. Yeah, I guess. I feel childish. I know everyone is going through the same thing, probably. I bet you hear this kind of problem a lot. No, I haven't been working here that long. I worried about the same thing when I graduated from high school. I didn't go to school here, though. I also miss my friends. I wish I'd kept in touch with them better. I should have tried harder. Yuko isn't really helping me feel better, and she clams up quickly when she sees it on my face. I don't want to look back and have those same regrets. Wonder if Shizune even thinks about that kind of stuff. Because she goes on sometimes about how she doesn't want to live with any regrets. Wow, that sounds impossible to me. I nod, only halfway wanting to agree. Can't talk. Even so, I think that is kind of admirable, too. Kind of brave. Don't you think so? Brave is a new way to put it. Yuko shakes her head insistently. It's true, though, and also kind of intimidating. Geez, you shouldn't be intimidated by high schoolers. I'll try. She turns away to start folding a sticky note over and over. Pretty idle behavior for a university student, but more importantly, I wonder if I said the wrong thing to her. Being around for Shizune for so long, I can't stop reading as much as I can into every moment of silence. If Yuko were the type of person who didn't get intimidated by high schoolers, it probably wouldn't be so easy to talk to her. It's also easy to want to shed some negative quality of yours. When I think of everyone I know, it's those qualities that I like the best. I don't think I really regret it. I thought as long as I could remember the good times, that was enough. I don't know. Sorry. I noticed a couple students starting to trickle into the library and decided my time was up. No, that was helpful. I feel like two of my friends are fighting because one of them is taking the fact that we might not see each other again after we graduate really hard, and the other is probably being stoic about it, which only makes it worse. I don't get how I'm supposed to handle the situation. It doesn't seem like the kind of problem where I'll have to end up taking a side, but it could turn out that way, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. You should tell them they shouldn't fight. I know, fighting is bad. It's not in Shizune and Misha, by the way. Okay, I wasn't really thinking that, though. How embarrassing. Even though I knew it would be, I still feel my cheeks redden, and even so, I still said something so transparent and blatantly a lie. But it could be that sometimes that is the right way. Do you have any books about people who have to make hard decisions? We have a lot of self-help books. It's funny that I can find that surprising, because I wouldn't have only a few months ago. I meant about, not for. There aren't many, right? Yes, not many, I mean. Though I feel a bit apprehensive about it, I want to talk to Shizune. I don't understand why I feel nervous about it, and that disgusts me a little. It also motivates me to look for her. Right then and there, although I don't have to look very hard. She's in the student council room, as always. Worryingly, Misha isn't with her. When Shizune notices me and looks up from her paperwork, first thing I ask is where she is. I don't know. There's so much uncertainty in her answer that I can't let it go just like that. She's missing a lot of school. Are you the attendance police? That's really strange coming from the student council president. Shizune hides a laugh behind a cupped hand, and I start to think that I might be worrying for nothing, but then her laughter slowly fades away to a more serious and pensive expression. You're right. Yesterday. I catch the hint of a knowing smile on her face when she sees my poorly hidden panic at the word. Despite her best efforts, she can't help being satisfied and eliciting surprise from everyone else to the very end. Even then, I can see that she has bigger concerns from how quickly her smile vanishes. Before either of you noticed me, I saw what you were saying. I'm not stupid. If I hadn't, I could still see through Misha while we were walking back. Even if she hadn't told me everything later, she didn't make a big deal out of it, but any way you look at it, it's my fault, isn't it? What did she tell you? Shizune winces at the question, though it's clear she's been expecting it. She follows it up with a very grand gesture. A lot. Like that I can be selfish and confusing. I try too hard to bring people around me and then push them away. I didn't know what I should do. I thought she was right to mention all those things, so I just agreed with her. But that only made things worse. I don't understand. Adjusting her glasses, she looks pretty tired. I hope it isn't because she's been busy avoiding Misha, but I can't help considering the possibility, seeing where this conversation is going. It's true, even the student council being this small, and us always being swamped with work, is my fault. I might have even added driving a lot of people off and away from the student council acting like that. Shizune wags a finger mischievously, acknowledging that might is an understatement. However, from how warily she does it, it's obvious that the humor is only to put me at ease, and therefore not genuine. Like Lily, for instance. She was the first person to join when I started trying to recruit people again after everyone else left, but they couldn't stand me, I guess. We managed to put together the last festival, and even ran a booth together at the last minute. But I didn't like her because I thought she was selfish, always holding us up in order to tend to one friend of hers or another, and leaving Misha and I alone to sort out things involving the whole school by ourselves. If there were any problem she was going through, she'd leave us high and dry while she panicked over it, and wouldn't come back until it was solved. She would focus on it 100% and be too preoccupied to focus on any student council work. That was the worst to me, that she could be so nice and still take so many people for granted. Why even join the student council then? It seems so short-sighted and selfish, don't you think? But it's actually me who's that way. Like Misha said, always trying to pull people close to me, then shutting them out. That is how I've treated her, which makes me a bad friend. And it feels like I did the same thing to you then, so I guess I'm a bad girlfriend too. Even if Misha says that you might as well replace her. I'm angry that I screwed things up enough to get this out of hand. All I wanted was to... She pauses to look for the right words, tenting her fingers in concentration. Make people happy, I think. Even though that seems like a simple way to put it. As she rests her head against her hand, Shizune's bangs fall delicately across her eyes, hidden behind those polished glasses reflecting just the tiniest bit of light. It may be wrong to think so, but right now she seems especially beautiful, like a more complete person. It feels like this is my first chance to respond to her outpouring of emotions. Replacing Misha as Shizune's interpreter? Misha must be joking. It took all my energy to keep up with her just now, her signing filled with gestures I've never seen before. Likely, their habits picked up from Misha and developed from the years of them being together. I can never replace someone so close to her. I like you because I like you, not because I got tricked into it by you. Despite how hard she tried, anyway. I continued to stare back into her eyes, as sharp as ever. The first time I saw them, It seemed a bit intimidating to me, like the eyes of a predator. That hasn't changed, which I find reassuring. I still want to make everyone happy. Starting with Misha? Shizune looks a bit annoyed that I would imply she would start with anyone else, and smiles confidently, as though a friend's sadness is a physical opponent she can just strangle into submission. Of course, obviously, naturally. Taking off her glasses, she leans back in her chair and lets out a sigh. It's the first time I've seen her without them on, but I don't get a good look before she slips them back on. But I'm too tired to start today. First thing tomorrow. Do you want to help? Yeah. And I have other student council stuff you can help me with while you're at it. Although it turns out that there isn't much other work after all.